How you doing, guys? I'm Sean.
Hi everybody, I'm Lynn. I hope you're having an absolutely amazing, airy, fairy day today.
Absolutely mystical and magical day. Guys, listen, today's video we're going to be talking about the day that we met, well, we saw a fairy.
I know.
Now, not a fairy as in a ship going across a channel.
Not a fairy, a fairy.
An actual fairy. Now, they're known by different names and depending on what country you're from. You know, here in Ireland, they're called the she. Different parts of the world. But it's actually a true story, by the way. We're not 100% certain. It's like everything else. We both have agreed that we are 99.9% certain that what we saw was the same. It happened about probably 4 years ago.
4, 5. I'd say about 5 years ago now, yeah.
Maybe about 5 years ago, when we used to live up in Sligo, up in the northwest of Ireland. There's a place up there called the Glen, also called commonly known the Fairy Glen. And it's at the side of Knocknaray, which is a very mystical and magical hill in the west coast. It's actually, I'll put some photographs up on it. It's just something magical. Might do a video on it, by the way. We've got stills from taking it.
We have actually. It'll be another lovely video. Absolutely magical place.
It's a tribute. It has a lovely big cairn on the top of it, and people would attribute it to Queen Maeve. But it predates that era. But it's a very magical place. But anyway, back to the story. Down the side of this mountain, a bit off the road, it's a place called the Fairy Glen, or the Glen. It's about 5 miles away from Strand Hill. And it's just a magical place. We went up till on our first visit up there. We walked into the glen itself, and it's like a canyon type thing, a very small wooded glen with all different fauna and things like that. And it said it came from the Ice Age or maybe an earthquake thousands of years ago. But millions of years ago, in fact.
Millions? Yeah.
Possibly, who knows? But we walked along it and we were taking photographs and things like that and just enjoying the ambience of it. And it was just, there's a magical energy there. Those of you who are in the crystals and the earth energies and things, you'll know what I'm talking about. But
beautiful energy. I was absolutely, the peacefulness there, it is so mystical and magical in this fairy glen. It just has to be experienced. It's just, wow, isn't it?
And it was just like you're back if you've seen a dinosaur running out of it, like a Jurassic Park.
You could imagine it actually.
Had these big ferns and things like that. It's just a weird and wacky place, but it's away from anywhere really, and you're actually in this crevice going across, and you're surrounded by upright walls. It's just a fantastic place. So anyway, we were having to be walking about, and we were talking about fairies, and we were saying how, you know, this place would genuinely have fairies. If there is places with fairies, and
that's why it's called the Fairy Glen, isn't it? Because apparently a lot of people have seen fairies or fairy-like things anyway, and that's why it's nicknamed the Fairy Glen rather than the Glen.
And in folklore and things like that, so it goes back thousands of years, even a couple of hundred years back, about the turn of the previous century. The Irish poet, famous Irish poet W.B. Yeats, used to frequent up there, and as you know, or you may not know, he was involved in the magic with Madame Blavatsky. So he was involved in magic, and you know, he was up there an awful lot. So it's just a magical place. So we happened to mention that this was a good place if there was going to be fairies, you'd see it. And we were only like, probably, we can't move it a shot here, but like we're talking probably about 4 foot between each other. And this thing came flying in between, directly between our heads.
Directly between me and Sean. And when I say a thing, it looked exactly like a little person. Now, I personally
with wings and dangly legs and all.
I couldn't say whether it was male or female, but it was the shape of...
I seemed like a male.
It was the shape of a miniature person, and it was like going across it like and all I could see was its dangly legs and arms. It was going like a miniature person. Like, what?
2 arms, 2 legs, like. So it's not like an insect you expect, like, you know, you had legs and things like that.
Or hoverfly or anything like that. It could not be, no.
Probably 3 seconds, 4 seconds between us.
It's enough for us to focus on it anyway. And I just looked at Sean, he looked at me, and he said, what was that?
And where it flew until bushes, which was beside us. And I looked around and said, Linz was like that. And I said, what was that? And I said, what did you just see there? And she said, I said, no, you tell me, what did you see? And she said,
you look like a fairy.
And I said the same. And I said, a wee man. Now, Lynn couldn't see it. She said, I couldn't see what it was, but maybe thinking because it was facing me that direction, Lynn could see it from the side. But I seen like a wee man with wings, but it was probably only 2 inches, and then the wings. But his wee legs were dangly, and his 2 arms were
You
dangling.
could see it was a
Pretty
little
mad.
person.
And it went away, not like a Peter Pan type character. But we, it was amazing. We thought it was absolutely fantastic. And I guarantee there was no alcohol or drugs.
Definitely, there
being
was no
consumed.
drugs, alcohol, hallucinogenics, or anything like that consumed beforehand. We were just walking along this fairy glen, and obviously there's people who have claimed to have seen fairies at this fairy glen, which is where it gets the fairy glen name from. But we weren't going there expecting to see it. We were just enjoying the nature around us, and we both saw it at exactly the same time. Now, can we say 100% yes, it was a fairy? Well, of course we can't, because we can only say it was there for a few seconds, enough for us to focus on, to see. Personally, what I believe I saw was like a little tiny humanoid figure. Obviously with wings, humanoid,
I like that.
with little wings, because I could see it flying, I could see the wings. Now, we've told a very few people about this, and they've said, oh, it's probably a hoverfly,
Or a moth.
or a moth, and you know, but I said, but believe me, a moth does not have dangly, it doesn't have a human shape or dangly legs, so even though it's some really
2 legs,
unusual
2
insect
arms.
that we've never seen before that is humanoid, but I truly believe that, you see, I don't care who is going to laugh at me by saying this, because this is, our channel, and we say what we think, and if people want to laugh, that's great.
We speak our truth.
We speak our truth on here, and I believe there is many, 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 many dimensions, lots and lots of different realities, all living in this same square space. Where you are sitting or lying now watching this video, that square space you are in, you might look around and think, oh, there's my TV, or there's my computer, or there's my mobile phone, or or this is my lying on my bed. But believe me, although that is your reality, that is the dimension that you are in. That is only what you perceive.
Mm-hmm.
But I truly believe there is lots and lots of different realities, all in this same space, all happening exactly the same time. And when you see a ghost, or you see a fairy, or you see some strange thing, oh God, I thought I saw a building there and then it disappeared. You're just having a tiny glimpse into that reality, that dimension at that time. So we're all sharing this same space with all these other dimensions and all these different realities. And I believe because me and Sean were so relaxed at that time when we were walking, we were able to see that for them few seconds.
And no restrictions.
We had no restrictions at all.
Every single thing here in this reality, and I agree 100% with what Linda's saying there, that we're all, vibrating at a certain frequency. Every single thing that we happen to see in this reality is all vibrating at the same frequency, the same vibration. And in order for us to see that, it has to be at our frequency, our vibration.
Frequency, of course.
So when you hear about some people waking up in the middle of the night and happen to see a ghost or a spirit or something, we believe that, it's because they're getting a glimpse into it, that moment in time or perspective when they were just awake, that their frequency, their vibration was out of sync of what their current life was. But if you know, even when we're looking at things, currently you look at things, you think you're seeing something for what it is, but it's not. Every single thing that we look at in this reality, like a reflection of light coming in, the image then goes through the pupil, goes through the iris.
Perception.
Goes right through, changes through, goes through the circuitry into the back of your mind, and your brain will interpret it for what image that you perceive it
Nothing
to be.
is really real.
So nothing near what you're actually seeing is real. You're actually seeing an interpretation of what you see. So if you happen to look up at the sky and you see a plane overhead, well, you automatically would say there's a plane overhead. But how do we know it is? Do you know what I mean? We're only interpreting as a plane because our mind. So if we're conditioned as people, conditioned as children, then up through our years, teenage years, into adulthood, and we're conditioned by society to say, look, this is what you believe in. There's no such things as fairies. There's no such things as ghosts. There's
You're
no such
instantly
things as
shutting that part of the brain off.
You're constantly, that's right, 100%, you're shutting it off. Now, we're open-minded people. We've seen enough and we've encountered enough to realise that what we see in this reality is not all there is. You know what I mean?
There's a lot more we don't know about.
So you can think to yourself, well, how come nobody has caught wee furries, and how come nobody has got any film and things like that? Maybe it's different reality, but how do you know that they're not existing? You don't have to walk out into your back garden or into the field somewhere and pick up a twig, pick up a stone, and you'll see all the wee insects underneath it. That's the first time they've ever come into your frequency, your vibration.
Yeah.
First time you've seen it. Doesn't mean they don't exist, don't mean you don't exist. And this is exactly like a fairy. If you could be in a place where you're open-minded to see things, if you have no restrictions on your mentality, you see things that other people may not see because they're just too stubborn they're in the box too
The
much.
brain shuts off before it perceives what it actually is. It's like people say, oh, ghosts only come out at night, or you see ghosts in the middle of the night. It's not what it actually is. You see, when you're sleeping, you go into all your different alpha brain waves. People wake up in the middle of the night because their brain waves have slowed down. They're more receptive to pick up them different realities. So you might see your dead relative. It's not that they only appear at night. They're there all the time. But you're able to perceive them more when your brain waves are slowed right down, because you're bringing yourself more open to see other realities and other dimensions. So anyway, it's a very deep one, and we'll cover it another day about all the dimensions and everything.
Like I've seen it. There's a video, if you're not familiar with it, I'll put the links down below. The day I met and spoke with a dead man. Now, it's I'll put the links down below, but basically I came back from England one time and I was walking through an area of where I grew up, and I met a neighbour of mine, and I got speaking to him and spoke to him probably about 3-4 minutes, possibly maybe 5-6.
It's an amazing story, isn't
we
it?
had a conversation. We talked about his sons, his daughters, my family, and on the way past him, he actually turned around and he said to me, "Tell your dad I was asking for him." I met my dad about 5-6 minutes later when I went up to the pub to meet him, and the penny was only back from England, and I told him, but I said, "You couldn't have got speaking to him. Sure, he's dead 6 months ago. He died when you were in England."
Incredible.
Now, that was a genuine 100% true story. Why did I see him? Well, I think because
you didn't know he was
I didn't know he was dead.
No, so you were open to seeing him.
If I had been told that he was dead and I walked up and I could see him standing there, well, my mind would have said, "Sure, he's dead, so I can't see him." And I think that's what happens to people with fairies and other entities.
The mind shuts it off before you see it. It's a bit like, thunder and lightning, the light is faster than sound. Well, that image will have appeared, your dead relative, all that different dimension. There's different types of plants and people all living. Then your brain shuts it off if we're able to see it. But because Sean didn't know his relative was dead, he didn't know he was able to perceive it straight away. Otherwise, if he knew, he'd have gone, and the brain would have shut off before he even saw his neighbour.
And because we're open-minded, when we were in the Fairy Glen, we didn't expect to go up the Fairy Glen thing. We were just looking for the magic. We're looking for somewhere to go and relax. I think we were hill walking at that time up around Sligo and things like that. So it was just an adventure just to go out for a walk. But because we're open-minded people, we're into earth energies. We were into the possibilities of alien encounters and UFOs. I think, why not? Earth people. Maybe because we were open, we were able to see it. So guys, that's our story, and I can assure you we're not 100% positive that that's what it was.
No, we can't say 100% no, because we've got...
But we say 99.9%.
But we're pretty sure. Put it like this, if it wasn't, I don't know what the hell it was.
There's a new insect up there, looks like human.
Yeah, this humanoid. Anyway, everybody, if you've had a similar experience with seeing fairies at all, please let us know. We would really love to hear your story. We would love to hear from you. So drop your comments down below or contact us on Facebook. We would love that.
You can contact us privately if you don't want to put it, because there's a touchy subject. We're lucky enough that we're too...
We're open. We don't care who watches and laughs at us, because we're just saying what we saw. So.
We're at the stage of the game now. We genuinely don't care what you think. Whether you even like us or dislike us, or whether you believe us or disbelieve us. The fact of the matter is, it doesn't matter. This is our journey. This is our story. This is us talking the truth here. And but some people aren't like that. Some people are anxious because family may constantly ridicule them.
So drop us a private message if you want. If you don't feel comfortable leaving your comments. So
guys, there you go. Have a magical day. I hope you enjoyed our wee encounter with the fairy folk here in Ireland. And you never know.
You never know what you might find.
The wee thing you see hovering in front of you before your mind turns it into a moth or a butterfly or anything else. Maybe if you're open-minded more, you're actually going to be having a look at that, and you can see it for what it really is. So,
if you haven't done already, please subscribe to us. We'd really appreciate this. We share loads of stuff about crystals and also mind, body and spirit issues. You can also follow us on Facebook and Twitter also.
Definitely.
And we want to send you...
What are we going to say?
You say loads of love and happiness.
As you know, our videos, we have nothing planned. Everything is unscripted. And Lynn just stole my last line there.
Oh, sorry.
And I'm just like, I'm so used to saying it. Guys, listen, send you love. What do I normally say? Yeah?
You normally say about the subscribing bit. And I said it. I beat you to it. So I'll let you send you loads of love and happiness.
Guys, listen, I'll do your face. Send you loads of love and happiness from Ireland as always. Bye.
Until the next video. Bye.
See you later, guys. Keep an eye out for any furries. Yeah.